My toxic trait is buying scarves whenever they're on sale. So two more are on the way. The wall will grow.
That is your toxic trait amongst many other things, I'm sure.
It was funny when the email came out. I was like, oh, he really needs to start doing damaged scarf sales. Well, there it is. So
Ask and you shall receive.
yeah, it's there. All right. Welcome everybody to episode 138 of the Designated Players Podcast. Yes, we did skip 137 because apparently all last episode I was saying 136. And it was really 137.
Yeah,
So
close enough.
yeah, we're all so um we are back doing our not so deep dives. Deep enough that you get enough information on it, not deep enough where you can yell at us that we didn't put enough effort in. So don't come
I'm
at
sure
us.
people will, they'll still find a way to yell at us. Come on now.
Oh, they will. And to that, I respond, hold that because I don't care. Come at me all you want. Do not care. We got another 7 teams on deck for you, spanning both conferences, good, bad, ugly, indifferent. You say it. We will cover it. Um, Before we do any of that, of course, we got to go to Scar for the week. Connor, what do you got?
In the theme of the episode, I won't see them till much later. Let me pick the side that actually has wording on it. I brought out my Nashville scarf, the Band Together scarf. Little
Are
logo
you are
on the
you
end.
recording
So
this on a toaster?
am I recording this on a toaster?
You're, when you had about 2 minute span there where you just were not present.
Or I wasn't what?
You are, yeah, you're lagging in and out.
I'm lagging.
Yeah, your connection is that of a toaster.
My connection looks fine on my end.
It's not good on my end.
All right,
Anyways,
well, that'll be fun to edit.
yeah, have fun with that. Now it looks like you're back now. So, um, twinsies.
Ah, that sucks.
I also brought out the Nashville scarf. Mine much cooler than yours. The longer you look at it, the cooler it gets. Great
Is that
detail.
your favorite scarf?
No, no, I brought the favorite scarf out last week for the Cincinnati boys with the or not last week, but earlier in the season with the racing wiener dogs. This is number two.
Fair enough. Can't
All
argue
right,
with
we're just
that.
gonna go. Oh, what's that?
So can't argue with that.
No, you
Racing
can't.
wiener
Racing
dogs.
wiener dogs, 100%.
Yeah.
We're gonna dive into it. Let's get this done and dusted. Spoiler alert: there are no guesses for you at home because, as we mentioned last episode, you haven't seen it. Go check it out already. Connor wanted to be more prepared, so we had to schedule it early because he's not a loser. So we start
You
with
said it, not
Philly.
me.
We start with Philly. It is Jim Curtin's ninth year after finishing first in the East on 67 points and missing out on the Supporters Shield by number of wins. I've got them looking in their usual 4-4-2 diamond shape with not a lot of change from last year. Actually, I don't think there's any change from last year. Blake's in the goal, and Mbaizo, Elliott, Gleesnes, and Wagner. Martinez behind Flock and Bedoya with Gazdag in front of them. And then Carranza and Ure leading the lines. I don't think there's much that they need to change, do they?
No, I mean, why would you? This has worked phenomenally for like seasons now. Why would you change anything?
Right. What's that thing? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Is that right?
Yep, yep, spot on. Yeah, I have them in the same thing. I mean, the only thing they really did was just add a couple of new depth pieces, but otherwise, starting 11 in shape, I would imagine is going to probably be the same.
Mm-hmm. Who do you think was their best addition this offseason? What do you think?
Um, like I said, I think most of the guys they added are just guys that can slot in there for depth and rotation. One of the ones that I really like that they added, Andres Perea. I really like that they went a little bit younger there. I think Perea's got some potential. Was in a tough situation in Orlando where like they had a number of guys who played the same position as him that were also like quality players. So I don't think he got like great minutes. And I'm not saying that he'll necessarily get that here, but we know how Philly develops young players. and I really think that Perea has some good potential. So I think if this team were to sell like a Leon Flock, I think Perea, I'm not sure if they would go Perea, if they would go youth academy like Jack McGlynn, but he's got a chance to slide right into that role and like immediately fill the boots and keep the Philly cog machine going, you know?
Yeah, no, I thought about that. I knew you were gonna pick him because I know you're a Perea stan. But I like Damian Lowe here. Elliot and Gleesnes. Yes, we understand it's Glesnes. Stop it. Gleesnes and Elliot are obviously fantastic. They're great. Um, these guys are about to play like 50 something games in a year with US Open Cup and playoffs and uh, Champions League and regular season. You're going to need to rotate, and their depth at the beginning was not ideal. So I think having Damian Lowe come in as really good center back depth is going to be a fantastic addition for them. I think you see him a lot early in the year when they're focused on Champions League. Um, and then obviously rotation as well through the US Open Cup and things like that. I like that a lot. In terms of their biggest loss, though, again, not too many that came out the door that you're like, damn, that sucks. Paxton Harrison being sold, he gave good minutes off the bench. He had opportunities to be a major contributor this year. But again, it doesn't kill him because they've got their entire starting 11 and like 4 of their first 5 guys off the bench. So didn't kill him.
Yeah, I would agree. Definitely not anybody that's crucial to this team. But I went with Corey Burke here. I think unless I'm not sure exactly where they're planning on playing Torres, but even if you assume they play him as a striker in some fashion, I think he's the only backup striker they have right now. So considering that they're kind of thin at that position and that they play 2 strikers, I'll probably say Corey Burke's their biggest loss at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's fair. They do have so you had mentioned last episode that you were going to go through and make depth charts and it was too much work and blah 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 blah. I don't see any challenges too challenging, so I went and did it. It's magical, actually. It's a beautiful document. I'll send it to you. You'll like it. They do have Donovan, not Landon, as their third striker. So they do have a third, but it's not very MLS experienced. But
Um,
tell me more.
I'd like to correct your previous statement. I still am building out this chart. I am not adding in all the stats that I was looking at previously. So I'm still building them out, but
That's really wild.
not in as much detail.
That's wild because I didn't ask.
Well, you made a comment on it, so I had to correct.
Doesn't
your
matter.
comment.
Didn't ask what you were doing. What I'm asking you is tell me about your player to watch or your breakout player. That's really what I'm asking. That's the answer.
My player to watch / breakout player, Jack McGlynn.
Oh, you loser.
Why did you pick him too?
Maybe.
Pick someone else. There's like 800,000 youngsters you could pick for this team.
You pick
Okay, I'll pick someone else. I'll pick Matt Real. Why not? The heir to the Kai Wagner throne. I mean, you could honestly go with either of those. I think to me, they're gonna serve like the same purpose as like the next guy in line to take over and kind of just like slide right into this Philly team. I think McGlynn could slide in for Flock if Flock is sold. And same thing for Matt Real with Kai Wagner. I think he could just slide right into that left back spot when Kai is inevitably sold. So I think since Philly probably knows those guys are on their way out, I think they might, and considering how many games they have, I think they might get some more game time this season and try to help them transition to like going full time into that position.
Yeah, I had McGlynn, but again,
Shocker.
usually a sub coming off the bench. But as I mentioned with Damian Lowe, with the amount of games that this team is going to play this year, you're going to see rotation all over the place. And I think he's going to have a big impact in early MLS play. So if he, I think he has a really good chance to be, to raise his stock this year. So one to watch. But my question, not for you, but for Philadelphia and all of Pennsylvania, really, is can Philadelphia Union keep a hold of all of their star players? And if they do, Is this the favorite team for MLS Cup?
It might be my favorite team. Spoilers.
Whoa, relax, man. We're not there yet.
I said
Damn.
might. I don't know for sure.
My question to you is, what is your question?
My question, not to you, but to all of Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. Um, Sorry, it's a bit of a wordy one here, but
Ugh.
with the sales of young stars on the horizon, how do you manage the transition to the next man up while still competing for Supporter Shield and MLS Cup?
Too many words.
Yeah,
Didn't like it.
probably lost people with the first like three.
-5. We're gonna move on. It
Yeah,
is Seattle. For the first time in history, they missed the playoffs under Brian Schmetzer in his 8th year now. He is the 11th in the West with 41 points last year. What do you think they're going to do shape wise and how they're going to line up?
they could probably go a few different ways. I just put them in a 4-2-3-1. I've got Stefan Fry in goal, Nuhu, Yamar, Ariaga, and Roldan in the back line. Pretty standard. I went with surprisingly didn't realize this guy played in this position that much. Apparently Rusnak played a decent amount at center mid. So I've got him and Japalo in the center mid spots. In the attack behind the striker, I've got Jordan Morris, Nico Ladero, and Christian Roldan. Then up top, I have Rui Diaz.
Yeah, I've got the same shape. I've got everybody except one. I've flipped Xavier Arriaga with Jackson Reagan. He got all 90 minutes in the Club World Cup. He got a ton of minutes last year, and I think that they're ready to transition into him and being a starter next to Yamar this year. Um,
That
we'll
might be a
talk.
good shout.
We'll talk more about that later. I really like the addition as we move on of Eber. Um, when Rui Diaz got cold, it was Will Bruin, and Will Bruin is not nearly the type of dynamic player that they needed to fit that system. So I think getting Eber as a number 2 is going to be really, really good for them.
Well, considering a bear is like the only new signing that has a chance at minutes this season, I'm going to also agree that a bear was the best signing for them this window,
Yeah,
at least so far.
yeah, like they didn't do a lot of movement at all. So
No, not that they really needed to.
no, like I said, if I asked you who your biggest loss was, we probably have the same one there too.
I don't know about that.
Ew,
My biggest loss was Jimmy Madronda for them. Um,
ew.
I just think that right now they don't have a lot of outside back depth. Um, and I know that they also lost Will Bruin at striker, but I think that they have a bunch of other options there. And I don't honestly, personally, I don't know much about Ocampo Chavez or Adeniran.
Yeah. I took Will Bruin again. Not there wasn't anybody on that list that was like, I can't believe he's gone. They're never going to be able to replace him. So
Yeah.
there wasn't a ton to choose from. Um, However, I will say something to watch would be the ability of Josh Atencio to make appearances in this team, depending on how healthy João Paulo comes back, because he got the start in the Club World Cup, came off for João Paulo, but like you said, he did all right. He held his own, but I think there might not be a ton of time for him to get in there, but I think he'll play a more important role than he did last season. So something to keep an eye on.
It looked like he got pretty good minutes last season, at least maybe in terms of the end of the season. But
Yeah, when João Paulo got hurt, that's what I'm saying. Like because João Paulo is healthy, I think he still has a role in this team. It's just watch for his impact as he changes his role and responsibility for 2023.
yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think their midfield is like insanely stacked with young up and coming players, like to a ridiculous level, to be honest with you.
Yep.
Um, so I would agree. I'm kind of in the same boat in that like whichever one kind of breaks out and gets the minutes this season is definitely the breakthrough player for them. Whether that's like Josh Atencio, Obed Vargas, Danny Leva, Reed Baker Whitting, Even like Sota Kitahara, who they just brought in. I mean, there's so many options for them in the midfield in terms of young guys. So um, I guess I would, if I had to pick a specific person, I'd probably also say Atencio, considering, like you said, he got the minutes in the Club World Cup, but could really be any of those guys, whoever kind of just breaks away from the rest of the pack.
Yep. Ask them a question. Ask Seattle a question.
Okay. My question for Seattle fans: did Seattle make a mistake in not being more active in the transfer window thus far?
Ooh, I like that. For me, it's kind of like a two-part question. First one is this the last chance for Seattle to win MLS Cup or be really competitive in that market? With the aging core and the contracts running out, is this the last chance they get? And is there a rebuild coming at the end of this year? That's kind of where is this team going?
How are you going to hit me with a two-part question and then complain about my other question being too wordy?
Because it's my podcast, I do what I want. We move. Peter Vermees entering his 15th year at Sporting Kansas City after finishing 12th in the West with 40 points. I've got them in a 4-3-3 with John Pulskamp in goal, Zusi, Volader, Fontas, and labeled right to left. Radoja, Walter, and Kinda if he's healthy. Russell, Agata, and Eric Tommy if Polito is not healthy. It'll lead me to my question later, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I have the same shape, but I have a couple of differences in the starting 11. I have post camping goal as well. Defense, I've got Zusi, Fontas, Volder, and I went Ben Sweat at left back, mainly because when SKC went on that run at the end of last season, Ben Sweat was playing left back for them every game. So I get that they probably, they bring in a left back. He's probably going to be in the mix in some way, shape, or form, but I'm going to back Ben Sweat to get the start there. Midfield, I went with Remy Walter, Gotti Kinda, and Eric Tommy. And then in the attack, I went with Johnny Russell, Willie Agata, and Daniel Shallowy.
Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways this team can look, and we'll talk about that later on. But I mean, you've got people on the bench who are, Daniel, again, for me, Daniel Shallowy. We both kept Alan Polito on the bench. You kept their new signing Radoja on the bench. Well, Eric Tommy can play in a ton of different positions. I mean, he's got a lot of options here. So, who do you think is their best addition, though? Overall?
They didn't really, I think, unless I have it wrong, it looks like their only additions were Radoja and labeled. And I think that both of those are positions where they were already in a good spot. But I went with Radoja just simply for the fact that I think he'll probably have more of an impact on the team in terms of like minutes and game time. So slightly went with him over labeled.
Yep, I also picked Radoja. They did lose their only true number 6 on the roster when they waived Ori Rossell. So you had to replace that if you wanted to, just even if you wanted the option to be in that shape. And they did so. Their biggest loss, another team that just didn't, and I think it also helps that all these teams really outside of Philly have been kind of bad. Like losing people isn't really the biggest thing in the world. So I think it's me at Marine because he's the only one who really got minutes.
I also went Ismat Marine, but I think I went more so because they only have 3 center backs right now on the roster, and one of them is hurt. So
yeah, he's gone for the
have the
year
2
too.
healthy ones.
Courtney Ford is done.
Yeah, so they have 2 center backs on the roster right now. So not looking like the best decision to let him go.
Yeah. Talk to me about maybe a breakout player this year.
My breakout player is Caden Pierre at right back.
Okay.
I want to see I finally want to see the transition away from Graham Zusi because
Good
I
luck.
thought Jalen Lindsey was going to be that guy, and then they kind of, I don't want to say quit on that project, but they moved on from that project. Caden Pierre seems to be the next Jalen Lindsey. Zusi at this point is like, I mean, he's not going to have many years left. I want to see them transition and give Caden Pierre some more minutes, some more game time this season while Zusi is here to like help him out and transition. So considering that it looks like I think those two are the only right backs, I think he's got a good shot at getting some game time.
I didn't really see a breakout player here because I know for a fact Peter Vermees is going to run Graham Zusi for 3,400
Okay.
minutes all year.
That's probably most likely.
So,
Yeah.
I just said the revival of Kinda and Polito is kind of like my players to watch. Um, and really less about the players and more about how long are you going to give them to try and acclimate back to what you expect of them before you just say, okay, that's it. We're going to keep you guys as reserve players or bench players, and the other guys are going to get the time. Because a lot of teams have had that issue where they've got a star who got hurt, came back, and they tried to stick with it, and it just didn't work, and they got hurt because of it as a team. So that's kind of what I'm looking at.
Fair. Yeah.
Let's go to Chicago. Ezra
Wait,
Hendrickson.
hold on.
What?
We have to ask questions first.
Ew. You're right. My question, and as it pertains to the comment I kind of made before, how in the heck are we getting Johnny Russell, William Agata, Daniel Shallowy, Polito, Kinda, Eric Tommy all on the same pitch at the same time? Because you can't just keep one of them on the bench. We're going full
Just
MLS.
break the rules.
Oh yeah, sure.
12
We're
players
going
on the field.
yeah full MLS 4.0, zero defender. That's why they only have three center backs. They're only playing with two. The winger, the wide defenders, nah, that's wingers now. We're just going with a 2-7-2, baby. Let's do it. Let's run it.
I'm here for it. My question is, what kind of role do the older players on the team play this season? So guys like Zusi, Roger Espinosa, Tim Melia, are they going to be starters? Are they going to be on the bench? Are they really not going to get many minutes at all and just kind of almost have more of like a coaching leadership type role?
Cool. So Chicago,
Yeah. Your
as you
favorite team.
rudely interrupted me, aka the future of the Golden Boot.
Oh boy, here we go. Part 2.
If I say it every year, it's bound.
You'll still
The
probably be
odds
wrong
keep
every
getting
single
better.
year.
The odds keep getting better.
Are they? I think your odds probably got worse.
um, sorry. Just on a side note before we get to Chicago, Emerson Heineman has checked into a friendly match for MLS team LAFC.
Yeah, I saw a note that he was training with them.
Oh, where is this roster space coming from? Who is allowing this to happen?
He'll probably be cheap, I think, because he's coming off a season where he was pretty banged up. I think his market value was definitely on the downturn, so I think they're picking him up at a probably cheap price. They needed it. They needed the midfield depth.
They did.
So it was
All
probably
right.
a good move for them.
We're going to Chicago. Ezra Hendrickson is in his third year after finishing 12th in the East with 39 points. Tell me what type of shape you're thinking about for them.
I've also got them in a 4-2-3-1. I've got hopefully Chris Brady in goal. Maybe that's optimistic because I think they did sign a goalkeeper. I've got Arnaud Souquet. Oh yeah, that was fantastic.
Flip it. Flip it.
My French manager is definitely going to yell at me for that one. Carlos Terran and Rafael Chicos at center back. Miguel Navarro at left back. Two center mids ahead of them are I got Federico Navarro and Gaston Jimenez. In the attack behind the striker, I have got Chris Mueller, Jordan Shaqiri, and Brian Gutierrez. And then up top, I've got Casper Shabilko.
Interesting. Also got the same shape, Chris Brady in goal. Jeff Gall did come over, but spent most of his time in the Swedish league, Swedish second division, if I remember correctly. Nope,
This guy does
Swedish
his
first
research.
division.
Oh, never mind. He doesn't do his research.
No, no,
Spoke too soon.
I knew it was Sweden. I didn't know if it was. I didn't
Professional
know.
podcast.
Yeah, you know how we do. You know how we do. But yeah, so he came in. He came. All right. So the team before that was his second division side. Sorry,
We're
I knew.
spending way too much time on Jeff Gall here.
Quiet down. I don't think. I think they're going Brady personally. Suquet, Chicos, Pineda, and Navarro right to left. Navarro, other Navarro, and Jimenez in a midfield two pack with Jairo Torres, Shaqiri, and Mueller in that front three with Jabilko up top. I think Suquet is their best addition, personally. I think they needed right back help desperately, and they got it. So happy to see that.
Yeah, I don't think there was a lot of competition, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Suquet also. Considering yes, they lost Sekulic, so
Yeah.
someone needed to slide into that right back spot.
Talk to me about their biggest loss, though.
I went with John Duran here. I think that mainly because I think the timing of the sale, I don't think that they had much time ahead of the season to bring someone in to replace him. And not that they necessarily need to, because I think Kasper Shabilko is fine to jump in there at the striker spot, but it didn't seem like they loved Kasper Shabilko at striker. I mean, based on what you were saying last season, they liked him more on the wings, which yeah, I don't know if that makes sense to me.
They started him in the central role, but when they got into the attacking phase of the game, he would drift out wide. Like you know how
Okay,
in FIFA you can set your tactics as like stay central or drift wide.
yeah,
He was
yeah,
set to drift wide.
okay. It still doesn't make sense to me, but anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go. I think you could go with like Gaga Slanina or Duran here, but like I said, considering the timing of the Duran sale, there really wasn't like a ton of time for them to reinvest that money. So I'll go with him.
I also went with Duran. A lot of what you're saying I agree with, and the fact that really they got rid of a four the year before, and now they've got Duran gone, and you're looking at Jabilko and a 23-year-old and a 20-year-old to back him up, both with minimal MLS experience. So, um, yeah, I think that's a massive loss for them because there's no second options. Jabilko or it's nobody. Player I'm watching, and I think it's kind of obvious, Chris Brady. I think they're going to give him the opportunity to take that spot. And they're going to try and do the Gaga Slanina thing and see who comes knocking because he is a massive, massive part of the US U20 team that is absolutely torching teams right now. And I think they're getting ready for him to just do it.
Yeah, I figured you would go Brady, so I would pick somebody different. Considering I have Gutierrez starting in my team, I picked Brian Gutierrez. It looked like he was starting a decent number of games towards the end of last season on the right wing. So I figured they would probably stick with that and he would get game time again. So, if he gets consistent game time throughout the whole season, I think there's potential for him to break out and maybe be that next young player on the team to develop and get a move.
Yeah, 100%. Ask a question.
I might sound crazy for this question, to be honest with you,
You and me both. All right, let's go.
but despite the bad results in recent years, is Chicago beginning to become one of the better development teams in the league? They just sold Gaga Slanina. They sold John Duran, young guys that they developed and got good prices for. I see guys in this team that I feel like kind of fit that narrative again. Brian Gutierrez, you have Chris Brady. Like if they develop these guys and sell them on again, who's to say that this isn't the start of them being like a good development team, even if the results aren't there? Kind of reminds me of like Dallas from a few years ago when like Dallas just like wasn't a great team, but they just knew how to develop players and sell them on. Am I nuts
Completely
for that
opposite.
question?
A little, a little,
Completely opposite.
only because mine is complete opposite. This team was third to last in the East last year. Well, not complete opposite, but they were third to last in the East last year. They brought in basically nobody.
Mhm.
They lost their best goal scorer and their goalkeeper, who is like U.S. national team level goalkeeper. Is this team on a track for the wooden spoon this year?
Oh, I wouldn't doubt that. Honestly, I think both of our questions could still be like correct. I think they could still
Yeah.
develop young players while still like playing poorly in the league.
And how long is that a sustainable business model? Let's be real.
Probably not. I mean, as long as there's no pro rel, I think you could probably do that infinitely.
Yeah, it becomes you're supplementing your lack of ticket sales and merchandise with player sales.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
It's a
it's
red.
it's a question of like, are you making 15 million in like ticket sales throughout the year?
Oh, I get
Like
it.
maybe it's worth it to kind of sacrifice it. I don't know. I don't
We've
really.
got a
Oh,
guest
what do you think,
podcaster.
Grace?
She's
I,
telling
I think she
me
said
that
I am actually a dog whisperer. I think she said she agrees with my question.
she's telling me that Connor's hair is way worse than mine, and we need to move on because we probably shouldn't spend that much time talking about Chicago anyway.
That's very fair.
So we move on to Atlanta then with Gonzalo Pineda in his third year,
I
finishing
did you
a.
just jump a team? Did you really just jump a team?
Oh no, not at all.
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
Nope.
Look at the
No, I
list.
didn't.
You're not looking at the list.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, Gonzalo Pineda is in his third year, 11th in the East, 40 points. Missed the playoffs because Atlanta are so bad. I've got him in a 4-2-3-1 with Guzan, Lennon. If Robinson is healthy, I've got Robinson and Puerta. If he's not healthy, I've got Abram and Puerta and Gutman on the left. I've got Ibarra and Sosa with Mosquera, Almeida, and Araujo with new signing Giacomakis up top.
I'll be honest with you. I wasn't paying attention when you read half of that team, so I have no idea what you said. Can you read it out one more time for my own sake?
No. Give me your starting 11. I will not repeat myself. You can listen to it back when we post the episode.
Well, I heard you. Okay, but I heard you say Edwin Mosquera. I think.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he's not here anymore.
he was on the list.
I'm looking at I'm looking at MLS's list of players in, players out, and he's listed as
Mhm.
players out.
I was looking at
And
transfer
he's
market, and he's on the list.
okay. Well,
Hold
we
on,
could look into that later.
hold on.
Okay. Okay. I'm holding. MLS says he went out on loan to Defensa y Justicia.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you would ever think that Mosquera was still here. That's clearly Derek Etienne Jr.'s spot. So yeah, I don't know. Oh, you know what it is? Oh, I know what happened. When I made my depth charts, I made Atlanta and Atlanta only like 3 weeks ago. And then I copied all of the things and never touched it for 3 weeks. So I came back and I just was like, okay, it's Atlanta's turn. Let me read what I wrote. And I just threw Mosquera in there. That's where I got stuck. So
You
yeah,
hear
Derek
this?
Etienne
This just
Jr.
sounds like a load of excuses.
This
Load of
sounds like you're
excuses.
about to get kicked off the podcast for being detrimental to my health.
Oh yeah, yeah. Kick off the guy who was correct and proved you
Yeah.
wrong. Yeah.
I don't
He
need to be
doesn't like
proven wrong.
real
I need to be
facts.
told that I'm right all the time.
Oh my, this is your toxic trait. This right here is your toxic trait.
Anyways, give me your starting 11.
My starting 11, I've got Guzan in goal, Gutman, Robinson, Purata, and Lennon in the back line. I've got Santi Sosa and Ozzy Alonso in the midfield. I got DJ7, Thiago Almada, Luis Arujo, and then I've got Giacomakis up top.
Give me their best addition then.
Georgios Giacomakis. I think this is a pretty obvious one. Well, and you know what? I'm not going to say that. I think they had a couple of good acquisitions this offseason. I think Giacomakis is definitely the top signing, though, just considering that, they lost Yosef and even Dom Dwyer in the offseason. So they were really lacking. Oh, and Cisneros. So they were really lacking in the striker department. They went and got a guy who was banging in goals for fun in his career and was banging in goals most recently at Celtic, the top team, one of the top teams in Scotland. So I think that's a fantastic signing to fill that role.
I agree. We talked about everything needing to be post Yosef era, and they need to get it right. And I think they absolutely got this one right based off of his record at Celtic, and just all the talent that's going to be around him. He's going to go on fire. So great move. Biggest
Mhm.
loss though, that Yosef dude. I don't know. He's kind of good.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Regardless of
It
the
hurts the
fact that he
soul.
wasn't playing much, even with the lack of playing time he had, he was still the best striker on the team.
And not to mention he was literally the face of the team. I mean, this has been the face of the team arguably since the start of the franchise. I mean, obviously Almiron was a huge part as well, but I mean, this guy has been the heart and soul of this team since like day one. So to lose him, and especially in this fashion, it hurt. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think even just outside of his ability on the field, this was easily the biggest loss for me. Even though they lost a few other like pretty significant players as well.
Yep. So, um, talk to me then about who you're watching this year. What type of player are we watching?
I didn't go with a young player this time. I went for Luis Arujo. Obviously, we were super high on him last season, and then he got hurt, and the team didn't do well, and everybody was kind of in and out of the team all season long. So, hoping people stay healthy this season, including Arujo. I think the talent is still there. I think he's one of the best players in the league. I think he's already had a pretty strong preseason in the couple of games we played so far. So, with the potential that's in this attack as well, he could absolutely blow up this season and be that MVP type player that we were expecting him to be last season. Not saying for sure he'll be that, but definitely I think he has that potential.
For me, it's more of a curiosity watch than a breakout star watch. But I'm looking at Tyler Wolf. He had his loan terminated, basically. He was recalled to the team, and I'm watching to see whether it's just so he can get out to another team where he'll actually play. Because I know he didn't get a lot of time in Belgium, right? Um, but the other thing I'm thinking of is what if this is some like big brain move to give them depth on a a wide side, like you mentioned, because I don't know why you didn't realize it. Mosquera clearly is not in this team. I don't know why you thought he was, but really that just leaves DEJ7 on the left wing. Now a lot of these players can play left or right, right? It doesn't matter. But I'm wondering if Tyler Wolf is coming in to be like this sneaky number two or sub off the bench for a wide player this year. You know?
So I believe from what I've been hearing is that Aiden McFadden is being switched out as a left back to back up Gutman, which allows Caleb Wiley, I think, to move into that behind DJ7 role.
Okay. I actually don't hate that. I'd like to see Tyler Wolf do it because I think Caleb Wiley was really good as an attacking fullback properly. But I'm cool with it.
I think Tyler Wolf
Ask
could
me.
still get in the attack somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure. I wouldn't be shocked to see him get some time in, but that also means we have to see Machop Chol at some point.
Yeah.
Um, talk to me. Ask me a question. Well, ask Atlanta a question. Don't ask me a question. I don't want to.
Okay. Fellow Atlanta fans, my question for you: does Pineda make it the whole season?
Ooh. For me,
Mm-hmm. I see you're distracted, not paying attention. What else is new?
I am because I saw that Luquinha scored a goal today,
Clearly doesn't have high priorities.
assisted by Tom Barlow. That's why we're important. Tom Barlow did something today.
That
Um,
means he's moving up the depth chart.
Stop it. The question's very simple. Is Giacomakis the answer to save this team post Joseph?
Yes.
I would think so too, but we also thought the South American Player of the Year, PT Martinez, was a Miguel Almiron savior. We also thought that Marcelino Moreno was the South American Player of the Year, PT Martinez savior. We thought a lot of these big name guys were going to be just
It just keeps
home
going
runs out of the
down and
park.
down. Who's Moreno's replacement? Is it DJ7?
DJ7, but he'll actually do it. No, right? So we've seen it happen before, but is this legit or is this another big signing splash and nothing?
Actually, I would say Moreno's replacement was probably Edwin Mosquera. He was here for like 7 games and now he's gone.
All right, let's move on. We are into Columbus. Wilfred
Yeah,
Nancy in
now he
his
goes the
first
correct one.
year. Hey, this has always been Team 13. I don't know what you're talking
It's not. Look at the list. You
I'm
just don't have
looking
the
at it
list
right
up.
now. Great. I'm gonna
I
send
will
you a
send
picture.
you a picture.
Just because you wrote it wrong doesn't mean anything.
It's your document. I didn't write it wrong. You can keep going.
Wilfred Nancy gets his first year in charge of the Crew after they finished just outside the playoff spot in 8th with 46 points. Talk to me about the shape that you think they'll be in and maybe some players.
I promise not all my formations are this boring, but I do have them in a 4-2-3-1. I've got Eloy Room in goal. I've got Steven Morera, JJ Williams, Milos Dejenek. Honestly, I don't know at left back. I just put Jimmy Mandronda there for now, but could definitely be Will Sands or Jake Morris there. Darlington Nagbe and Aiden Morris in front of them. And then I've got Kevin Molino, Lucas Zelleran, Luis Diaz, and then Cucho Hernandez up top.
Yeah, I am a little bit different there. Same shape. Again, it's less about it being boring and more about just every team plays it.
Yeah, that's what I
Room in
mean.
goal.
Like every team plays, it's kind of boring.
Yeah. Morera, Dejenek, Williams, and I do have Will Sands in there. I think he gets the majority of the reps this year. And I think he has a really good year too. I got Aiden Morris and Darlington Nagbe. On the front three there, those winger spots are completely up for grabs. Right now I've got Yaya Boa, Zelleran, and Matan. I mean, again, it could be anybody. There's no one standout like, oh, this guy's going to be the guy. And then of course Cucho up top. They didn't do a lot in the transfer window though. I think their best addition was Ramirez, mainly because they only signed like 2 players. He's a good option to pair with or to swap out with Cucho if needed. So
Yeah, I would say the same thing as well. I mean, it's him or Jimmy Madronda, really.
yeah.
So, and I know you're not a Jimmy Madronda fan, so
I don't dislike him. I just don't. He's one of those like brings. He's a forever depth piece to me. That's just me. Who do you think is their biggest loss?
Jonathan Mensah. I know it's a recent one, but it really makes him pretty thin at center back, to be honest. And it's so close to the start of the season. Like, unless they had something planned, I don't really get it. I don't get why you would do it this late. I'm not saying that I don't get them like moving on from Mensah, but like, why at this point? Like, why so late in the game?
Right, and to build off of that, he's also my biggest loss. But to build off of that, not only are you now thin at center back, you're looking for a new captain, right? Like he was your leader, he was your defensive rock, and now you got people looking around like, all right, now what do I do? You know, so that's a not a great look to me. Um, in a more positive note, I'm excited for Will Sands. He's my player to watch slash breakout player. I think, like I said, I think he gets a majority of the look at left back this season, and I think he will be another one just like Aiden Morris, who's going to break through and be another really good homegrown signing for them. So excited for that.
I went with Aiden Morris as the breakout player. I think Artur is gone, so this is absolutely Aiden Morris's spot to partner up next to Nagby. What a player to be partnered up with, by the way. So
One way to learn,
we saw
right?
bits and yeah, we saw bits and flashes of him in the past. So now that this is his opportunity to lock down the spot and get that consistent game time. So
Did you say
I
bits
definitely,
and flashes?
yeah.
It's bits and pieces or it's flashes.
Well, now it's bits and flashes.
Awful. Awful.
What does it matter? It doesn't matter.
Go ask a question to Columbus. They're dying to hear your question.
I'm sure they are. My question for Columbus is, does this team have the depth to be successful?
My question is Zelarayan and Kucha Hernandez, is that connection going to be enough to make up for the super thin back line and the less than ideal wide play that they're going to have to deal with this year? One more to
I don't know.
go.
Don't look at me. I'm not a Columbus fan.
You're not anything. You're not anything.
That's not true.
You're whatever you want to be, Connor. Reach for the stars.
Thank you. That's much nicer.
All right, let's go over. Our last team here is going to be Nashville as Gary Smith leads them in their fourth year after finishing fifth in the West with 50 points. I am interested if they keep the 4-4-2 shape, but that's what I have them in right now. I've got Joe Willis in goal. I've got Shaq Moore at right back, Zimmerman and Jack Mayer partner at center back with Dan Lovitz at left back. In the midfield four, I've got Leal on the right, McCarty and Davis in the midfield two, and Fafa Pico on the left with CJ Sapong and that guy, Hani Mukhtar. I don't know. He scored a lot of goals last year, so I put him in.
He's kind of good. Believe it or not, I think for the first time all episode we have outside of Philly, we have the exact same team. High five. Yeah, 4-4-2, literally the exact same lineup.
Nice.
All right,
So
honestly, it felt kind of obvious.
Yeah, of course it did. You don't change. I mean, like I said, I think the only person that's kind of up in the air is Dax McCarty. You can flop him for Tana Nungwa. You can flop it for where'd the other one go?
Anibal Godoy.
Yes, Anibal Godoy. And I think you see Godoy probably over McCarty most times, if I'm being honest, but I couldn't get away from the double Red Bull in the middle. So we
I'm
move.
sure you couldn't.
Talk to me about their biggest addition.
I've got Fafa Pico. I think this one was kind of easy for me. Picking one of their 8,000 left wing signings. I think Fafa Pico was one of, if not Houston's best player last season. So taking him, adding him into the attack, which I feel like has always been one of Nashville's bigger question marks, is just their attack and who can support Hani Mukhtar, because he can't do it all by himself. So I really like the way the attack is shaping up. Adding Fafa Pico, having Randall Leal to help out Hani as well as CJ Spong. I think things are looking pretty good for Nashville.
Nice, I like it. I also went with Faf Pico. I think they had a hole at that left wing spot, and I think it's a good get for them. Biggest loss though, Dave Romney in the back. I thought he was really solid. I thought he was a really good part of that very good back line that they had. Jack Mayer, I think, is good, but I think Dave Romney was better.
Yep. Same thing for me.
Talk to me about your breakout player then.
There's really not a lot in terms of young players on this team to keep an eye on that I think could get in the mix. I went with Lawrence White here, former Atlanta guy, probably not super high up on the center back depth chart, but I think I have him like fourth on mine behind Zimmerman, Mayer, and Dupuis, but had good numbers. I think last season with, I don't remember exactly what team, I think somewhere in the USL. I think if he gets the chance to get some minutes this season and kind of rotate into that back line, that's always pretty solid. I think we can see some good moments from Lawrence White.
I have him as center back 5 behind Josh Bauer. But I also picked a center back, but it's less of a breakthrough or breakout and more of a breakthrough. I've got Jack Mayer here. He's not, like I said, not really a breakout guy, but he hasn't broken 2,000 minutes in a season yet. And with the departure of Dave Romney, I think he is set up to do that this year easily. This could catapult him, much like Sean Nealis in his second year or third year, to being, top 10 center back in the league, get overseas looks type of thing if he gets it right. So less of a breakthrough, and more of like a keep an eye on it. Let's see what happens.
Fair enough.
So it's time to ask one question and one question only. Is anybody going to help Hani Mukhtar score goals this year? Anybody? Or are we just going to let him carry the entire team this year? And if they don't, can Nashville survive? Or can Hani Mukhtar just score 25 goals a year? Is that just how they're gonna? Is that their business plan? I don't think it's sustainable, personally.
God thinks he's a business manager now, huh?
Naturally.
My question for Nashville: is this team good enough to be competing at the top of the East?
Okay. My question for you is, why did you email me a picture? You ever heard of text messaging? Boomer. Damn.
I'm on my computer. I don't have my phone near me. It's somewhere else.
What a loser.
With the boomer. I should have just sent you the link so you can look at it yourself.
Yeah, so that is our episode. We had a lot of fun. We hope you did too. Let us know what you think. Make sure you comment and share your thoughts about these little dives and breakout players, and answer the questions, right? That's what we're asking them for. Make sure you're following us wherever you get your podcast so you know when we go live. And make sure you are following us on social media so you can see all of our clips. We're doing really well. Lots of interaction. We love it. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. We are all over the place. So make sure you're out there showing out so we can interact with you. And if you start saying dumb things, you're going to get the emoji. I've sent this emoji to 4 different people on TikTok this week.
And the audio listeners are going to love that. This emoji,
the thumbs up emoji. One of our comments was, man, the New England Revolution are awful because their environment is terrible. And I assume that all other environments in MLS are terrible too. And I said, well, go watch Atlanta, go watch Charlotte, go watch Portland, go watch all these different teams. He goes, nah, they're all terrible. So I gave him the thumbs up and I said, thanks for your input, buddy. But yes, if you want to be a part of those conversations, come on over. Come hang out with us. And make sure you stick around because episode 139 and 140 will continue our deep dive. So, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the next episode of the Designated Players Podcast. See ya.